City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson. Here. Alderman Holmes. Here. Alderman Tendam. Here. Alderman Grover. Here. Alderman Rainey. Here. Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk. Here. Alderman Braithwaite.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Welcome to the Monday, September 24th, 2012 meeting of the Evanston City Council. The first item on the agenda is the mayor's public announcements, and I am terribly sorry to extend my condolences and that of the entire city to the Coleman Rice family on the death of their son, DeHay, who was a wonderful, wonderful young man, and the entire city is mourning his loss. If you would like it, it is a very moving experience to read the paper that he wrote on the day before he was killed. It was a high school assignment about his life, and it is on the web page. And if you want to cry a lot, read it. And it talked about what a wonderful family he had and about his experience growing up in Evanston. That brings me to my next announcement. I'm calling a community meeting to discuss nonviolence initiatives and ways to keep our children safe on Tuesday, October 2nd at 7 p.m. The location is to be determined. It might be in the Parasol Room here, but we are looking at 2 other larger locations. I will be inviting all of our key community partners and all Evanston residents who want to work on this issue to come together and to discuss what we should do. Further information will be available on the city website in the next day or 2. Residents can also call 311 for further information. If you come, you're welcome, and be prepared to really work on the issue and volunteer. Thank you. City Manager, do you have announcements?
Yes, ma'am, Mayor, members of the council. Several items occurring this weekend. First, I'd like to ask Adelita Hernandez, our Citizen Engagement Coordinator, to come up and give us some details on the events surrounding Paid Evanston Purple.
Good evening, City Council, City Clerk, Madam Mayor. I'm here with Maureen Palchuk, who works with Northwestern Athletics, and she's just going to give us some more details about our 3rd annual Paint Evanston Purple. We have the pep rally this Thursday. It starts at 6 o'clock at the Clock Tower across from Burger King on Orrington and Clark, and we really hope residents come out and also join us at the game. So I'm turning it over to Maureen.
Hi, like Adele said, my name is Maureen Palchuk, and I work in the athletic department in marketing and community relations. Very happy to be here. Thank you for having me. On behalf of the entire athletic department, we'd like to say thank you for your support thus far in the season. Off to a great start on the football team, 4-0. So very exciting, and we'd love to have all of you and all Evanston residents to come out this weekend, starting with Thursday, the pep rally, as Adele said, and Saturday, the game against Indiana at 11 a.m. So offering discount tickets to all Evanston residents. We kicked off Paint Evanston Purple last week with a wonderful visit to Lincoln Elementary School, and we'll continue to visit other elementary schools throughout the week, as well as some other events as well. So we look forward to seeing all you, and again, thank you for your support, and anything we can do in the athletic department, please let us know. Thank you.
Alderman Rainey.
How do Evanston residents get the discounted tickets? Can you tell us?
It's on our website on nusports.com, and it should be one of the highlighted stories for this week, so they can go on there, and then there's a promotional code that they can get discounted tickets. Thank you.
Good question.
Yeah, excellent question. And then we've also done discounted tickets for District 65 students, which is even more discounted, and that information's on there as well.
And the District 65 students were very excited about this.
Yes, we had a wonderful day with them last week with the mayor and some football student athletes. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
That's only the beginning of all of the events happening on this weekend. Doug Gaynor, our Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services, I believe has 3 additional events to talk about.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council, City Manager Bobkowitz, and Deputy Clerk Otwell. First, on Sunday, we have Evanston Backstage. It's going to be held from 3 to 6, September 30th, at the Ethel Barber Theater on NU campus. And that's a compilation probably of 20 or 30 different arts groups that'll do performances and or demonstrations, exhibits, 20 minutes, 30 minutes each. This is the third or fourth year that Backstage Evanston has occurred. We have the Green Living Festival, Saturday, September 29th, from 9 to 3. It's at the Ecology Center. Everything that you can imagine from regarding green. It's going to be a great activity. There'll be shuttle buses that will go from the downtown Davis Street Metro stop and go to the Ecology Center and back. So there will be food and all types of exhibits. And then finally, on Sunday, from 9 to 1 o'clock, will be the fourth, I believe, annual, fourth. That's the fourth, Bike the Ridge. We're going to close Ridge Avenue down from Howard Street to Church Street. And the mayor and aldermen, and in particular Alderman Rainey, and the chair of this event is our past alderman, Angela Hansen, who will be out there on bikes. The Ridge Avenue will be completely closed down to any vehicle traffic. So we look forward to all of you coming out and joining the mayor and the rest of the community for this event. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes my announcements.
City Clerk, do you have communications for us?
Yes, I just want to remind everybody that early voting will begin October 22 through November 3rd here in the Civic Center, room 2200 on the second floor. That's it.
Thank you very much. Next is citizen comment. Citizen comment is an important part of council meetings. We welcome comments from all citizens, and we encourage the expression of different opinions and viewpoints. Comments from concerned citizens are another reason that makes the city of Evanston a remarkable place to live. The city's Board of Ethics concluded an independent investigation and determined there was no conflict of interest regarding the Kendall matter. Pursuant to Council Rule 6.4, that matter is concluded and is beyond the jurisdiction of the council. All further redundant comments made on this subject made by any speaker will be ruled out of order. No further redundant and duplicative comment, such as comment which has gone on for more than 18 months, will be heard on the Kendall matter at this or any other council meeting. This ruling is in accordance with the council rules, the holding of the U.S. Supreme Court in Perry Education Association versus Perry Local Educators Association, and Section 206G of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Citizen comment has time limits. This evening there is time for 3 minutes per speaker, and no disruptive comment will be allowed. Thank you all for coming to speak, and the first 4 speakers are Gladys Breyer, Mike Vasilko, David Charney, and Junad Rizki. If Gladys, you would come up first. Is she here? All right. Gladys will not come up to discuss alleys.
Mike Vasilko, 2728 Reese Avenue, Evanston. I want to speak briefly on 3 items. SP1, I'm asking you to please reject yet another $50,000 grant to TIC. They have no instrument in place to keep startup businesses in Evanston once they leave TIC. The startup businesses get a free ride. TIC gets a free ride. To borrow language from Mr. Happ, the Evanston taxpayers have had their pockets picked by TIC for more than 20 years, for more than $1 million. Please vote against SP1. Regarding SP2, 2 of the original 3 proposals submitted for the Robert Crown facility had stated a construction cost of approximately $20 million. One of these proposals by Crown Park Community Partnership made the cut to the final two. I reviewed both proposals quickly, and in my opinion, there are clear differences between these proposals. Crown Park Community Partnership had a more complete proposal regarding the experience of the design team. They included club sports consulting team, experienced in ice rinks. They had architects with ice rink experience, architects with park and recreation experience in Evanston. The team members have more of a personal connection to Evanston, in my opinion, and a clear understanding of Evanston's fiscal restraints. For example, and I'm probably going to mess up his last name, but Alex Grinchalik, who has served voluntarily on many Evanston committees, would look out more, in my opinion, for the Evanston interests and put developer interests second. Their proposal was literally half of the second proposal by McCaffrey. The project team is clearly more experienced with these types of facilities, and for a cost of almost half the other proposal, it seems like they would be the better choice for Evanston. Lastly, and just quickly, I've written about this, I've asked about it a number of times regarding the downtown performing arts study. I'm just still kind of baffled why there isn't an evening or a weekend presentation. There was one day selected by the team of architects, which was this past Wednesday, September 19th. They had 3 presentations during the course of the middle of the day when people who actually work for a living couldn't be there. So I'm asking if another presentation can be made either on a weekend or an evening. Thank you.
Thank you. David Charney.
My name is David Charney from 822 Reba. I wanted to talk in favor of the Technology Innovation Center. My company, Lumen Group, here in Evanston, we started 7 years ago. We've recently graduated out of the TIC. My business partner and I moved here from South Bend, Indiana, long before we even knew what an Evanston was. We had heard of the Technology Innovation Center, and we came here to check it out and meet a lot of the other businesses there at the Technology Innovation Center. They had great space that let us expand and grow. They had networking events, presentations, everything that a startup needs, including an attorney that we could meet with whenever we needed to. I'd say the key element they gave us was experience. All these, all the problem-solving skills, all the decision-making skills, the things that you learn by screwing up. We were able to learn a lot quicker through the individuals there that could work with us. Our first clients, we had no portfolio or job starting off. Our first clients were at the Technology Innovation Center, and now we've moved to much larger clients. We've got 9 working for us now, so we wanted to move out of the Technology Innovation Center, and they helped us find space in Evanston, which was a little difficult, but we were able to find space. And so now we're doing quite well, and we still go to Technology Innovation Center events, and so I'm in support of any funds to it that are available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Janad Risky. I'll speak to the issue with Robert Crown tonight that's on the table. This entire process, unfortunately, is based on what I call a lie, and that's really over a year ago, the city stated this would be no cost to taxpayers. And when these proposals came in, it's pretty clear that this is quite a large cost to the Evanston taxpayers, and that's really to finance this project. Unfortunately, I keep coming back to this, but the ADA issue at ECTV, what was interesting there is when this committee questioned staff on the issue, staff came back and said the city approved the project. Tonight you're going to be if you approve this and move forward with it, I see many problems here. Anybody that understands these things, the one speaker suggested one project that there's a difference in cost here in these projects. Well, there's a difference in cost because there's obviously a scope problem, and that's why there's such a big difference in cost between the two projects. You didn't clearly define the scope. You let them define the scope. So clearly that you've got problems. So between $20 million and $50 million, I would say you've got a problem. And unfortunately, I saw a lot of things in here that drew a lot of questions of problems. So this is an issue for the taxpayer's pocketbook here that concerns me. And it's clear the city staff did not do this right when they did it this way, because clearly we're going to pay for this. So if we're going to pay for this, the city staff should have come up with the scope, put it out, and let people bid on it. Basically is what the city staff should have done. It raises really a question of what the city staff is doing here. It doesn't really understand what it's doing. So I really think this council, if this goes and approves this tonight, that Wally's supposed to go on and negotiate. I really don't know what he's negotiating. So, I mean, clearly this council should sit down and go have a whole meeting on this to show what we're negotiating, what we're going to go after here, and figure out what's going on, because this is not small money here. We're talking probably adding to the tax bill fairly significantly for this. And there's a lot of issues here. So if you want to earn your 2% raise tonight, I think you ought to basically decide to vote this down and let the staff come back and show you what they're going to really do with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Alex Arzumanidis. I apologize.
That's okay. Thanks, Ms. Mayor. It's Alex Arzumanidis, and I'm here to talk in support of the Technology Innovation Center. You may have remember me from a few years ago when I came a little bit less sort of mature as a company. I'll tell you a little bit of story of the company Silotech. We make mechanical testing instruments that are useful for helping companies do research and develop products quicker, faster, and with better quality. But when I first started this business, I came from research at a $100 billion company. I was a research scientist, and I thought, how hard can this be to start a business? It's not. I had some good ideas, and I did have some good technical ideas, but I did not have the understanding of what it took to actually build a business. And the incubator was that, truly was an incubator. It took a very early stage concept, and before I thought I was ready for a lot more than I was, but it helped guide me and get me through to where we are today. Where we are today now is we've moved out of the incubator. We have stayed in Evanston. I'm partly because of the incubator, but I like the idea of the company being in this town, partly because of the university and the technical nature of the business, but also just because I like this town. We've now built a team. We're raising capital to start growing, and the kind of jobs that we're talking about are engineering and business development types of jobs that can really contribute, I believe, to a community. So, just to summarize, the incubator, in my perception, helped me not only personally evolve in growing this business, but also, frankly, helped me get through a difficult time in the recession, what some colleagues of mine call the dark time, when it was very difficult to sell the kind of capital equipment to companies that, at that time, people were worried just about keeping their jobs, not worrying about what their next thing could be. And the incubator really helped me. The resources and the people there helped me get through that time. So that's really all I had to say. And thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next is Steve Wilkie, then Priscilla Giles.
Hi, my name is Steve Wilkie, 818 Monroe Street in Evanston, 30-year resident here. First time in front of you guys. But I come here to voice a complaint about the use of black asphalt on sidewalk repair around the city. I've been noticing, and I'll just start with my own personal story of walking by the same sidewalk on my way to Starbucks every year for 10 years and watching it just disrepair to the point where half of it's missing, and finally saying, I got to do something about this. So I get on the 311 and put in a sidewalk repair report. 3 weeks later, I walk into Starbucks with my wife, and I look down and I go, oh my God. And there's nothing but this huge black pasted asphalt halfway down this sidewalk. I've got pictures if anybody wants to see. It's pretty shocking. And it sort of quickly turned to my shock And then later, other people saying, "Oh my God, did you see this over here?" And then I noticed that it was other places around the block because they went and found other plates that weren't quite together and jammed asphalt in there and other little holes and sort of covered the whole area. And it got quite a lot of complaint from other neighbors, and pretty soon it was found out that I'm the one who complained, and everybody's making jokes, including my wife, who's like, look what you did, look what you did. And I'm like, hey, I was just trying to help. And actually some fairly angry voices that I then turned around and says, well, let's talk to the city and figure out how we solve this and get a better solution, and that's why I'm here today. So let's just start with aesthetics. First of all, it's pretty obvious. I don't think we all want to be walking down black and white sidewalks, and it's pretty clear that if you walked out of your own home and saw somebody putting black asphalt on your white sidewalk in front of your home, you'd be a little shocked and recoil pretty fast and say, what are you doing? I likened it to like if you reported that there was graffiti on a public wall and the city came back and painted it black and sent you a report and says it's been fixed. It's no different. It's not a fix. It's a temporary solution, and yet you don't get a report as it being temporary. You get a report that says the problem has been fixed, which I'll get to later when I talk about the 311 program. But anyway, I went on. I guess at the heart of that, by the way, is the fact that as you degrade the community in this way, it's a sort of subtle thing. I know you're trying to fix things, but in truth, you're sort of degrading the whole community, and with that comes a sort of sense of everybody then thinks, well, hey, they don't care. I can throw my beer can in this bush. It's just sort of brings the whole community down a little bit, and pretty soon nobody's thinking it's that special, so whatever. Anything can happen here. And that's what my ultimate concern is. But then I got down to looking online for other alternative repairs that I could offer, and then pretty soon I got to the land of Google, which I decided to type in for kicks, and I'll give you this homework assignment. If you can find anywhere in the land of Google where someone suggests you repair concrete with asphalt, it doesn't exist. All you get is other people complaining about the same issue, or I found cities like Sacramento, California, stating that there's absolutely no use of asphalt on concrete being allowed in their cities and things like that. But you don't find anybody saying, hey, it's a good idea. And so then I thought to myself, okay, I'm sure they're trying to do their best thing. There's some liabilities here. They're trying to fix things. They're trying not to get sued. I heard that could be a possibility. But then really, to me, the repair isn't even satisfactory. What you get instead of a hole is you get a mound to trip over. And in the areas where they're trying to even the difference between plates, the asphalt, because of its surface, is as much of a lip as the lip that you're trying to fix. All you've got now is a black stripe on your sidewalk that doesn't even solve the problem. So we're not winning here. And when it comes down to liability, the one thing that I wanted to make clear is I don't see how I understand liability from a number of things. I'm in the music business, and if I write a song that sounds like somebody else, I'm liable for a lawsuit. We've got to be very careful about what we do. And so you cover yourself by showing intent, by hiring lawyers and musicologists to say that this doesn't sound like
Your 3 minutes are up.
I have just one more?
Quick.
Because you know what? Actually, I don't know if there's any more speakers, and I think it was like
there are.
Oh, okay. All right. So bottom line is, I think there's a false sense of security with liability, because if there's an issue where you fix a sidewalk and you don't do it well, there's as much liability when you're tripping over an unfixed sidewalk as if you trip in the hole that wasn't fixed. On the 50-50 program, in one sentence, I'll just say, if we're sharing an investment, I feel like when things are being done to someone's sidewalk, that they should be contacted that something's going to be done from there, because that's where some of the anger shows up. It's like, what did they do to my sidewalk? And then the following thing, the 311 program, I found it hard once I got a report that said something's been fixed. There was no invitation to say, or anybody I could follow through on that report to contact again to say I was unhappy. I have a follow-up to that report. I made phone calls. I didn't get anything back. I just kept getting things back that said problem's been fixed. So that wasn't very friendly or inviting, and I felt it was a challenge to follow up on. Thank you for that.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah.
My name is Priscilla Giles, and I live at 1829 Ashland. I am responding to the ordinance 38011, where you're asking for licensing of rental departments. And at the last meeting, you talked about now focusing on seniors, on families at risk, and the Latino community. And I find that if you are going to license and cause people to pay more money for the rent that they're already paying. These are the same people that you're talking about. And I just feel that it's a burden on the people who you say you want to help. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Betty Esther, Jim Walensky, Padma Rao, and BK Rao.
Good afternoon. My name is Betty Esther, and I stay at 2131 Church Street. I'm here to talk about the 2% raise that will start in 2013 for the elected official that will also be added to increase the property tax at the end of the day. Our property tax sometimes do need to be increased for paying the city bills when those bills are justified. This 2%, as Mrs. Giles stated, will impact those groups that you added to your priority list on September the 17th, the seniors, the family at risk, and the Hispanic. While the 2% affect this priority group, and there is no talk, and there was no talk about how to give them the one thing that mostly they needed, but you took off the priority list, which was affordable housing, the one thing that these three groups needs the most. Plus, some seniors that owns their home, this tax will make their house increasingly unaffordable by increasing their property tax. No talks of how to help them with this tax burden. I would suggest that you do need an increase, sometimes we all do, would make that 1% to a 0.5% raise, and the other 1% put it in the affordable housing fund to help the people that you say is on your priority list. And one other thing, I see where it's up. 819, the sale of the lots that was subdivided in the 1600 block of Foster. My question is, and I would like an answer from the city manager. He could email me or call me tomorrow. You spent $1 million on buying this and to buy the property and to clean it up. Will we be recouping the city $1 million from this sale? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, City Manager Bobkowitz, good evening. It's always a pleasure to return to speak to you now on non-controversial items. And I'm here tonight as the president of the Evanston Kiwanis Club, which has been in Evanston since 1920. And along with some other great service clubs in this community like Rotary and Lions, we do provide a service to all Evanstonians. The primary focus of the Evanston Kiwanis Club is serving the youth of this community. And why I'm here tonight is to alert you to two events we have coming up this week. And it sounds like it'll be in competition with a number of other great events, but hopefully you'll have time to enjoy all of them. And I've placed invitations and also a sample of our peanuts at your desktops this morning. Anyways, this Thursday from 5 to 7 is the Faces of Evanston video and photo contest, which Kiwanis sponsors. It's the 8th annual contest we've had. And it's an encouragement of people to celebrate Evanston, celebrate the arts in Evanston, and also to encourage young people to really get involved in their community. We even provide free cameras to students both in District 65 and at 202 to take photos. And we'll be having a reception this Thursday night at the Noyes Center, like I said, from 5 to 7. So you could come to ours first and then go to Paint the Purple after that at 6. And we've got over 228 entries this year. And if you'd like to see some samples of that, please come to the session. And if you're a little unsure, you can walk through the entranceway into the City Council, or rather into the building downstairs, and you can see examples of our photo contest as you walk in through the entrance in the lower level. My second point tonight here is Kiwanis Peanut Day is Friday, and that is a major fundraiser for our organization. As I said before, Kiwanis is dedicated to the youth of this community. We raise somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 a year and distribute that money to all organizations supporting Evanston youth. You may ask, well, how do you do that? If you have a son or daughter, grandchild, or granddaughter that participates in a contact sport at Evanston High School, two Kiwanis dentists, Dr. Scott Huff or Dr. Stamata Blanas, make all of the mouth guards for anyone involved in a contact sport at a very minimal cost. If you were at the community picnic this year and you like the food, Kiwanis contributed money, and we also cooked the food. If you didn't like the food, well, I'm sorry. But anyways. We've supported the Evanston Public Library, youth baseball in this community, the Mighty Twig, Family Focus, Peer Services. All of these organizations are supported by Kiwanis. And the best I can say is that the K in Kiwanis stands for kids, and kids in Evanston, and that's what we're about. And please remember us on Peanut Day. That if
Jim, the peanuts are excellent, and your time is up.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Padma Rao, 2246 Sherman. My comments were approved by my attorney. This council and its mayor display hateful bigotry every time they interrupt, attack, and turn off the microphone during public comment. This council's unconstitutional discrimination is well documented and speaks for itself. But some misconceptions and misrepresentations should be corrected. First, Mom and I did not latch on to the issue of racial discrimination discussed during public comment on September 10th. In fact, we had already prepared our comments and reviewed them with our attorney before we knew that anyone else intended to speak against racism here. Our comments were the result of your mayor allowing a white woman to speak about the same Kendall issue that your mayor angrily forbids us from even alluding to just because our skin is a darker color. Indeed, many members of minorities have approached my mother and told her, "You go, girl, keep talking. You tell that council. They have no right to stop you," and similar words encouraging us and condemning this council's behavior. Second, the First Amendment protects the rights of private persons, including minorities, to petition government for redress and to speak against government actions that burden their exercise of religion. But the First Amendment does not permit government to attack minorities who exercise their constitutional rights, nor does it allow the press, other entities, or a white woman to pursue a similar pattern of abuse, the result of which is to silence one or more persons, or intimidation or defamation of minorities who exercise their constitutional rights. Under the Illinois Criminal Code, intimidation is a Class 3 felony punishable by imprisonment for 2 to 10 years, while federal law provides both criminal penalties and civil damages. I challenge this council and the press to educate itself and the public regarding the law and to stop unlawfully attacking minorities who exercise their constitutional rights. Since your mayor let a white woman speak about Kendall on August 13th, I can state my views. We condemn this council's vote to sentence over 24 mature trees to death for no reason at Kendall.
As you know, she
those
did not
trees are
speak
part
about
of our
Kendall.
history.
She
did
spoke
speak about Kendall.
public
She
comments
spoke
and
about
the
Kendall.
abuse of them.
Those trees are part of our history and part of our community. We oppose this council's vote to endanger young children and other pedestrians with an alley that dumps traffic onto the narrowest street. The City Code Section 617.6 and 612 support our position.
We demand that this council enforce the code at Kendall. Illinois Supreme Court rules of professional conduct, rules 1.7, 1.9, and 1.10, forbid a law firm from representing against a current or former client. Yet this council attacks and tries to silence us when we point out that the Kendall developer's lawyer claimed that Holland & Knight was hired to sue the city, even though the same firm had been paid tens of thousands of tax dollars to represent the city. This council not only ignored its responsibility to protect taxpayers' rights and funds, it attempted to cover up this serious legal issue. Your First Ward member's son works for the same law firm. and your ethics entity's whitewash cannot overturn the U.S. Supreme
You are out of order.
in Nevada Commission on Ethics versus Kerrigan condemning such a conflict of interest. Stop your unconstitutional bigotry. Protect the trees and pedestrians at Kendall. Stop your bigotry.
Whew. My comments were approved by my attorney. First and foremost, I extend my deepest condolences to the family that lost a child during the weekend. Such a tragedy should not happen to anyone. When the council ignores its basic duties, such as providing safety to all of its taxpayers, bad things seems to happen in the city. When it comes to the rights of minorities, and especially the minorities she doesn't like, the mayor is trigger happy to turn off the microphone. Her bigoted discrimination against me and my daughter is well known, well documented. The mayor seems particularly eager to listen only to her chosen ones. It is also well known that she allowed a white woman to talk about Kendall at the same time in the same meeting on August 13 when she forbade us, members of a minority, from speaking about the same Kendall issues. The video evidence unequivocally shows that if you are white and agree with the mayor, you will be allowed to speak uninterrupted. But not so if you are a minority with a different view. Historically, many videos evidence the contempt and animosity displayed by the mayor, the staff, and the aldermen against minorities. Such is the sorry state of this city. Such is the sorry state of this city. We cannot even ask for tree protection or pedestrian safety at Kendall, which is part of our neighborhood, because our skin is darker. The taxpayers must wonder what this council is doing. Besides interrupting and insulting us at almost every meeting, you constantly demand respect and civility, which are nothing more than your code words for shut up and go home, you uppity minority. I suggest that this council should be respectful and civil to all your fellow Evanstonians instead of treating those with darker skin as second-class citizens. I submit that instead of trying to please the Kendall developer, you should enforce the city code and save the trees. Instead of hiding behind the mayor's hand-picked ethics committee's misunderstandings of facts and law, you should ask Holland and Knight why it represented the Kendall developer after taking tens of thousands of tax dollars to represent.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Yes, I submit that my fellow Evanstonians do not want the same irresponsible people to come back and do the same irresponsible things to the detriment of this city. Think wisely. The elections are coming soon. The elections are coming soon. And I shall return.
Thank you. Next is, let me see. No, we have more speakers first. Martha Moser, Adam Howarth, and Priscilla Giles again.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Martha Moser. I live at 929 Washington Street, and I have a business at 906 Sherman Avenue, across the wall from Revolution Spin. I want to respond to some remarks made September 17 by Jason Bressler, the owner of Revolution Spin. I did not attend the council meeting, but I did watch the videotape of the meeting. And just as a refresher, I was running a quiet business at 906 Sherman Avenue, and then Revolution Spin moved in across the wall from me at 904 Sherman Avenue. Their noise has been detrimental to my business, and the landlord has not provided any relief in terms of soundproofing to protect my business. I just want to address the many statements that Jason made, but only relative to my business. Okay, first, Jason stated that he had given me his personal cell phone number, and in 11 months he had only received one phone call from me, and it could be true. I did call him once to complain about the loud session, and I got his voicemail. Nothing happened. It occurred to me that his instructors wouldn't stop to answer the phone anyway, even if they could hear it over the noise. Okay, however, his implication that the one phone call was our only communication is a deception. We communicated regularly and by email. It was civil correspondence. Okay, my second point. Jason made himself out as a big economic engine for Main Street. Okay, I've seen his customers. They drive up in SUVs. They take up all the parking spaces. They spin. Then they jump in their SUVs and can't beat it out of town fast enough. Okay, meanwhile, on the quiet side of the wall, I've hosted national and regional workshops. Classes are attended by usually 10 to 12 people. Many are from out of state. One woman came from the country of Holland for a 6-day workshop. They stay in local hotels and bed and breakfasts. They eat their meals out. We walk Main Street for breaks. We eat Peroni chocolates. We buy fashion magazines at the newsstand. We buy Dovo scissors at Corrado Cutlery, and think nothing of dropping hundreds of dollars at Vogue Fabrics. In my 2 years at 906 Sherman, my little business has probably contributed several thousands of dollars to Evanston's broader economy. Another point, Jason bragged that he had sent me 4 customers. In actuality, one person did stop in one day and make an inquiry. Jason shouldn't speak for my business because he knows nothing about it. Jason said he has 50 to 75 customers a day. I don't see that, but it is an argument that he should move his business to a mall, which has enough parking to handle that volume of traffic. Okay, last point. In the self-pity section of his presentation, in reference to Peggy Tarr and me, he makes himself out as a victim. He complains that 2 individuals who conduct a witch hunt against me. The W word. By disparaging Peggy and me and muddying the story, Jason is diverting attention from the real and only issue. And since I'm the one who raised the topic, let me clarify my bottom line issue.
Ms. Moser, your 3 minutes are up. If you could wind up.
Okay. This is the only thing the council has to consider. That is, a noisy spin studio does not belong in an apartment building in a residential neighborhood. This bottom line. Okay. And then I have a ordinance to cite which would support that position. Thank you.
Okay. If you have something written you'd like us to copy, we could do that.
Okay, it's kind of scratchy, but I can give it out.
We can deal with scratchy. Thank you. Adam Howarth, and then Priscilla Giles and Peggy Tarr.
Good evening. I'm Adam Howarth. I'm the general manager of Revolution Spin. Over the past 3 weeks, Revolution Spin has appeared before you, the City Council, in order to represent our business during the citizen comment portion of the agenda. We've adhered to our lease with Cast Management as it was written and continue to do so as we can. We've complied with all officer requests when an officer responds to any complaint, regardless of the individual. These complaints have also increased remarkably over the past few weeks since Moser's Sewing Studio and Revolution Spin have decided to speak at the citizen comment. Officers are generally apologetic when they do come into our studio, and we're willing to provide them any information as necessary. This past Saturday, our owner, Jason Bressler, who spoke last week, spoke to a responding officer and told Mr. Bressler that when he went into the citizen's home to inspect for any direction, and this is this past Saturday, if anyone wants to check that information through Freedom of Information, the officer went into the citizen's home to inspect for any noise. He didn't hear any noise coming from our studio, even though Jason was teaching a class currently at the time. He told Mr. Bressler that he would report, or that is reported, that all he heard was road noise. Jason still did decrease the volume in order to go ahead and satisfy that request. Even tonight, we ran a class from 7:15 to 8:15, and there was no complaints called in, no officers responded. I suspect because Mrs. Mosier and also Mrs. Tarr were present tonight, at least during 7:15 to 8:15, because I was sitting in the studio with both of them. Or not the studio, but the lobby, sorry. In addition, last week, Ms. Mosier came out of her studio. As I completed my class, I calmed her, asked her what was her goal for calling in all the complaints and trying to do this. And she told me, "I'm trying to ruin your business." And I said, "Please say that one more time." She said, "I'm trying to ruin your business." I said, "Thank you, I'm going to finish closing the studio." And I went inside and did as such. The last thing I want to say is that we're going to ask to just be continued to allow to run our business as we have within the terms of our lease and within local, federal, state, any laws possible. CAS Management, the management company in question, has also assured us that they are prepared to speak on this topic at a future City Council meeting, and they plan to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Priscilla Giles, and I live at 1829 Ashland. I'm speaking to the council to remind you of the circular drive that was removed from in front of Fleetwood Jourdain. This is a very difficult, it makes it very difficult for the seniors to enter, to leave. It's a long way to walk on a walker, on a cane. It's a long way to walk or to use a wheelchair if it's not motorized. But it's also one of the groups of people that you've targeted to say that these are the people who are going to get the special help, the seniors. I just want to remind you, especially since you have the pedestrian, I'm sorry, I don't remember how it's stated. But this is one of the things that's on the agenda for pedestrian safety. That's not, these two things don't go together. But just reminding you that this is still something that needs to be taken care of.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Tarr, better known as Peggy, and I live at 907 Sherman Avenue. I'm not going to read everything that I prepared to read. I do have copies that I'll give to you. I spoke to the City Council on September 10th because of my frustration in trying to get something done about the noise coming from Revolution Spin. Noise audible in my apartment for several 45-minute or longer periods throughout the day and evening. I called the Evanston Police Department several times about the noise because I believed Revolution Spin was violating the city ordinance by disturbing the peace. However, all the officers with whom I spoke said there was nothing EPD could do, Evanston Police Department, could do because the city had issued Revolution Spin a license to operate at that location. One officer even said that the city of Evanston had licensed Revolution Spin to make noise as a part of its business. I've not called the police every time Revolution Spin disturbed my peace because of what police officers have told me. It seems futile. That includes tonight, that I didn't call, and it wasn't because I was here, it was because the noise started around 6:15, and I decided to not waste my time or a police officer's time again by calling. When I spoke to the council on September 10th, I just wanted to bring the issue of the noise to the attention of the council in hopes that the noise could be stopped. It has become apparent that the only way the noise will stop is for Revolution Spin not to have a license to operate in its current location. Yesterday, a tenant at an apartment on the 900 block of Sherman told me that she slept on her couch in a different room instead of her bedroom which is located in the front of her building, because of the noise from Revolution Spin. I received several calls in reference to public statements made at the September 18th meeting by Jason Bressler, owner of Revolution Spin. And I'm only going to go over a couple of points. One, he said, since for about 11 months, quote, the front door has never been open because there had been a complaint about the noise and a request to close the door. That's not true. In fact, I have a copy of a police report that I'll give to the council in which the officer states, and I quote, the door to 904 Sherman closed as I exited squad number 42. When I arrived, the door closed immediately. As to the statement that was just made about the officer coming into my apartment to listen for the noise, there was no noise when he came into my apartment because they stopped. The classes, I don't know exactly the timing of them. They don't always yell and scream and thump and bump for the whole 50 minutes, but I'm really tired of it. And it looks like the city of Evanston can't do anything about it. So the only other thing I think we have to do is to actually go to court and have somebody else make a ruling, because I'm really, really tired of this. The other thing Mr. Bressler said was...
Ms. Tarr, I do need you to wrap up.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm just going to say that the last thing I wanted to just say was that I feel that that Revolution Spin Cast Management, which is a management company for 904 Sherman, and the city of Evanston are responsible for this most unpleasant situation. And I'm really regretting at this time that I'm living in Evanston.
Thank you. We'll make copies. That concludes public comment. City Manager. The next is special orders of business.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Before we start, perhaps a calendar check. It is now 5 minutes to 10. We still have a very full agenda. I think it's important to take on the Technology Innovation Center issue. The remaining 3 items of special order of business potentially could be continued to a future meeting, if that would be your desire, and then allow the council to complete its business with the reports from AMPW, P&D, I believe Human Services and Rules. So if that, we are concerned to move forward with the Robert Crown project. I think, though, it is an important project, and to give it just a few moments of time this late hour perhaps is not the right thing to do. So unless there's objections, Madam Mayor, I would propose that we go forward with SP1, take SP2, SP3, and SP4, and continue them to a future meeting.
Does that work for everyone? All right. Excellent idea. I confess my guilt. I did suggest that the Technology Center might want to shorten its presentation a little bit. So if anyone has questions, then they'll answer them afterwards.
Madam Mayor, then let's move on to SP1. The mayor had requested that this item for consideration of staff's recommendation to disperse the remaining $50,000 in grant funds to the Technology Innovation Center for the period July 1, 2012 through December 31, 2012, as authorized by Section 2, Exhibit A, Resolution 48R12, which was approved on June the 11th. There is a staff report before you. We're prepared to answer any questions. Mr. Happ from the Technology Innovation Center is here, and I believe is prepared to make a few remarks. Madam Mayor, it would be my recommendation that unless there's any initial questions of staff, that Mr. Happ be permitted to make his remarks, and then I would be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
I think that's fine. Mr. Happ, are you ready? Where are you? There you are.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, city manager. I appreciate the indulgence once again. I'm very sensitive to the fact that you have a full agenda this evening and that we got an awful late start. I will taper my remarks. I had a presentation to be done which highlighted many of the achievements that we incurred during 2012, and I also have a number of items that I can promise you for 2013 in light of the fact that I appreciate your waiving the other items, and I'm sorry for. I want to express my deepest thanks to Mayor Tisdale for her support, as well as City Manager. I want to express a special thanks to Paul Zelmazak, who has spent considerable amount of time at the Technology Innovation Center learning our model and learning our business, and he's added some great value to a number of the companies that we have. 2011 is beyond 2012. We have seen a number of companies graduate from the Technology Innovation Center. We're down a number of companies right at this moment, largely because we had 5 companies move out at the end of August, the beginning of September. Lumen, who you saw this evening, as well as Silotech. Lumen was 9 employees, moved out, it stayed in Evanston. Silotech took their 5 employees over to Payne Street. Sales Eye took 12 employees over to the 1840 Oak Building. Precision Biomarker needed larger laboratory space and took 5 employees out to Northbrook into a larger lab, but they still maintain a relationship with the Technology Innovation Center. In fact, on October 8th to 10th, are hosting a consortium from JETRO, which is our Japanese Export Trade Organization in Chicago, because they've entered a contract in with Toray Industries, which is a large a biotech industrial company in Japan. Grocer Exchange, just not to give you the impression that they all succeed, but the Grocer Exchange failed in a round of funding and was forced to move out, at least temporarily, during that event. So we also experienced the Maker Faire. I have wanted to share some photographs with you on the number of people that attended a very successful Maker Faire in August 4th and 5th, which was attended not only by Mayor Tisdale and her family, but also by City Manager Bobkowitz. Paul Zelmazak was there. A large number of high school administrators were there because it provided many educational moments for some of our city's youth. So we had over 50 tents, 1,650 15 linear feet of fencing, 10 toilets, 500 tires to accommodate a racing team that we had. We had 15 racing teams from all over the country, which I know a number of people saw that people were enjoying themselves, but what actually was occurring was the fact that these 15 teams had 5 members of each. They needed to stay in Evanston overnight. They ate cheeseburgers, they ordered pizzas, a little beer, some sushi, but more importantly, they stayed in hotels throughout Evanston, and I think it had some economic impact on the city during that stage. I'm happy to admit that I've secured the license for 2013 as well. In keeping with 2013 other events besides the Maker Faire coming up, I've today signed a contract with a local area consulting and marketing firm to kind of help us with our image issues, our social media, our marketing, and our advertising. They're going to review our model. They're going to review our location. They're going to review our upper management. They're going to suggest that we expand our board beyond the 4 members that we have right now. And they are also, I think I've mentioned that they'll be helping us with the social media, advertising, and public relations. We have recently formed an Evanston Business Investment Corporation investment fund to help replace some of the lack of funding from our local area lenders since the Great Recession. I think it'll also attract a much higher level of client company and clientele to the incubator, who is going to be looking for some early stage funding. It's in response to the Evanston Adventure Report, as well as the outgrowth from the Economic Summit that was held, and I think everyone realized that we had a need for some funding source in Evanston. EBIC 3 hopes to build on the success of EBIC 1 and EBIC 2, from which Peapod and Illinois Superconductor were born, so we're looking forward to the launching of that. It is also the main reason for the EBIC fund to be picked up is that we'll offer some sustainability, and with the proper model, proper investment, proper board, will help get us off public funding and onto a more sustainable model. Those are the items that we have planned for 2013. I'm here to entertain any other further questions that you have, but I want to, before that, express my gratitude to the 18 emailers who sent their message out to you. Those 18 emailers, most of which were companies that had graduated from TIC, represented over 3,000 jobs. And before Facebook and Twitter, that was considered economic development. I don't know what it is now. So.
Thank you, Mr. Happy. The one thing you failed to mention about the Makers Fair is that I had a chance to go around and meet many it looks as if they will be thriving new businesses, and push Evanston is a great place for them to come. And given the success of the Maker Fair, which was absolutely fabulous, I think that some of them will end up at the Tech Center in Evanston.
Thank you very much.
So I felt that I had failed to really describe the Maker Faire, but it's sort of an indescribable event. But it was, I thought, marvelous, and it attracted some very promising businesses. So would anyone like to comment or make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, Alderman Wilson.
I move that we adopt the staff's recommendation to disperse the remaining $50,000 in grant funds to the Technology and Innovation Center.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Alderman Tendam.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank, as you, Mr. Happ, and spoke about all the information that we've received the past week or 10 days. It's been very helpful in putting together the history and other things that we had been looking for. And I know that the client company roster is a very daunting task. So I think what you did was very good in helping me understand, explain a lot of things that I maybe should have known but didn't, and so I will support this, the technologies funding.
Thank you, Alderman Tendam. Does anyone else wish to comment? Alderman Rainey.
I would prefer to be supporting less money. I'm going to do it this last time, and I swear I will never support another penny to the TIC without the support of Northwestern matching any funding that we give. There's something wrong with that organization not coming forth and supporting this organization if it is worth supporting. There's just something that bothers me that the city of Evanston is the sole support of this organization. It bothers me terribly. I don't know why Northwestern has not come forward again as they did in the past to support this organization. And I said to you today, if Northwestern were kicking in $75,000 today, I'd be voting for $75,000 to match it. But this is the last time I'm going out there alone to support a contribution to the TIC.
Well, thank you for your vote, and I also believe that with your determination, since you're on the case now, that you'll get Northwestern to do it. We're still working on that. All right, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tendam.
Aye.
Alderman Grover. Alderman Rainey.
Last time, aye.
Alderman Burris.
No.
Alderman Fisk. Alderman Braithwaite. Okay, 8-1.
Thank you all. I think that makes my job of getting tech firms to come here much easier. City Manager, does that conclude?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Special orders of business?
It does.
Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The consent agenda, first item is approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of September 10, 2012. The Administration and Public Works Committee met this evening and recommend your approval of the payroll through September 9, $2,538,746.09. City of Evanston bills through September 25, $3,823,091.11. Committee requests your approval of an agreement with CTL Group for inspection of the 1934 reservoir and 1948 settling basins at the water treatment plant in the not-to-exceed amount of $89,000. We also request your approval of engineering services agreement with Baxter & Woodman for water treatment plant master flow, meter, and chemical feed improvements in the not-to-exceed amount of $95,900. Your approval is requested for Resolution 67R12, authorizing the manager to sign notifications of grant awards to fund a senior meal congregate program at the Levy Senior Center and the Fleetwood Jourdain Community Center. Approval is requested for a contract renewal with Catholic Charities Lunch and More for senior meal food programs at the Levy Center and the Fleetwood Jourdain Community Center from October 1, 2012 through September 30th, 2013, in the not-to-exceed amount of $4.27 per lunch meal. Total meal program contract value is projected at $43,456. Your approval is requested for Resolution 68R12, assignment of a sublease of real property at Green Bay Road and Central Street by Top of the Tracks, Inc. Coffee Shop to SEG Cafe, LLC. Your introduction is requested for Ordinance 99012, which amends portions of Title 10, Chapter 9, Section 1013 of the Evanston City Code of 2012, as amended, relating to bicycles and the use of bicycles within the city. Your approval is requested to introduce Ordinance 100-012, which amends the city code as amended to decrease the number of Class C liquor licenses from 29 to 28 due to the closure of Hoda Restaurant, 2545 Prairie Avenue. Introduction is also requested for Ordinance 101-012, which amends the Evanston City Code as amended to increase the number of Class N licenses, liquor licenses, from 6 to 7 to permit issuance to Whole Food Market, 1111 Chicago Avenue. Introduction is also requested for Ordinance 102-012, which amends the City Code as amended to decrease the number of Class O licenses from 3 to 2. Ordinance 103-012 is for introduction, and it amends the City Code as amended to increase the number of Class O liquor licenses from 2 to 3, permitting issuance to Trader Joe East, doing business as Trader Joe's, 1211 Chicago Avenue. The next item is off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. Next item is Ordinance 105-012. We request your approval to introduce and amend the city code as amended to increase the number of Class T liquor licenses from 0 to 1 to permit issuance to Smiley Brothers Restaurant and Brewery, 1615 Oak Avenue. The following are recommendations from the Compensation Committee to the City Council regarding salary increases from the next election for 4 years following. First is Ordinance 87-012. These are all for action. 87-012 sets compensation for members of the Evanston City Council with an annual raise of 2%, which equals $4 a week, for the 4 years beginning May 1, 2013 through May 1, 2016. This is for action. Ordinance 88-012 sets compensation for the Evanston City Clerk with an annual raise of 2% for the 4 years beginning May 1, 2013 through May 2016. Ordinance 89-012 sets compensation for the Mayor of Evanston with an annual raise of 2% for the 4 years beginning May 1, 2013 through May 1, 2016. Ordinance 90-012 sets compensation for the Township Assessor with an annual raise of 2% for the 4 years beginning May 1, 2013 through 2016. Ordinance 91-012. There's a conflict here. The title calls it 91-012, but the ordinance number is 87-012. Whichever ordinance is correct recommends that we set the compensation for the township supervisor with an annual raise of 2% for the 4 years beginning May 1, 2013 through 2016. The next 4 agenda items have to do with the implementation of Emerson Square, part of the $18.15 million of the Neighborhood Stabilization Program 2 grant awarded by HUD. These ordinances were introduced at the September 10 City Council meeting. The first ordinance is 92012, authorizes the manager to negotiate real estate contract to sell lots 1 and 2, described in Resolution 63R12, that subdivides city properties at 1600 Foster Avenue in Evanston. Next, adoption of Ordinance 93012, which authorizes the manager to execute a real estate contract to sell lots 1 and 2, portions of the vacant property at 1600 Foster in Evanston, to CB Land LLC. Also for action is Ordinance 97012, authorizing the manager to negotiate a real estate contract to sell lots 3, 4, and 5, outlots A and B, identified in 63R12, which subdivide city-owned property at 1600 Foster Avenue. Next is a recommendation to adopt Ordinance 98012, authorizing the manager to execute a real estate contract to sell lots 3, 4, and 5, and outlots A and B, portions of the vacant property at 1600 Foster Avenue in Evanston, to EMSQ Holding, LLC. Under Planning and Development, item P1, the committee recommends introduction of Ordinance 38011 regarding the licensing of rental dwelling units, amending Title V, Chapter 8 of the City Code to be effective July 1, 2013. The next item is off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. The next item, we request your approval for adoption of 96012, which grants a plan development approval for the proposed new Trader Joe's at 1211 Chicago Avenue. Next item is under Human Services Committee. The committee recommends acceptance of the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan update for fiscal year 2012 and consideration of approval for the creation of an ADA advisory group to assist the City of Evanston with prioritizing ADA issues and infrastructure improvements. Under Economic Development, the 607-609 Howard Street facade improvement is off the consent agenda, and I'll just address it briefly. There's going to be a change, an alteration in the facade, and it'll come back to us. Under Rules Committee, the committee recommends, and the Housing Commission concurs, and the Mayor's Task Force on Homelessness and the city staff also recommend, so you better vote for this, Ordinance 61012, which amends the city code to establish the Housing and Homelessness Commission in place of the Housing Commission. I misspoke. This is just for introduction. With that, Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda.
Second. Thank you, Alderman Rainey. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Seeing no lights on for further discussion, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes. Aye. Alderman Tendem.
Aye.
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk. Aye. Alderman Braithwaite. All in favor.
9-0, the consent agenda passes. Alderman Grover, could you walk us through A and PW?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's simply one item that's up for separate discussion, but then not. It's A11, which is Ordinance 104-0-12, creating an O1 liquor license classification and permitting issuance to a 7-Eleven at 817 Emerson. This matter will be held in committee until its meeting on Monday, October 22nd, and will come back before the committee in bifurcated form to be heard separately on the issue of creation of the new liquor license classification, and then separately for issuance of that license to 7-Eleven at 817 Emerson. Held in committee.
Thank you. Alderman Fisk. Planning and Development.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. P2 Ordinance 108012, amending the Title 5, Chapter 2 of the City Code to require the licensing of vacation rentals, has been referred back to staff with the recommendation that we hold public hearings at the Planning and Development Committee.
Thank you, Alderman Fisk. And Alderman Rainey, I believe you took care of the economic development issue. So next would be call of the wards, beginning with Alderman Nguyen. Beginning with Alderman Wilson. No, that's okay. We'll get to her. Alderman.
Wards, or you want to wait till the end?
No.
All the wards?
No report.
You're first? You want to? Anything to say? Call the wards.
All right, call of the wards.
First, I'd like to also offer my condolences to the Coleman Rice family on this really unspeakable tragedy that's happened to them. Their grief is Evanston's grief, and we have to find a solution to this. So my heart is just aching for them. On another sad note, many of you know that Jeff Russell, who owned and operated and started Crossroads, died about a week and a half ago in an accident. Someone said to me afterwards, he really was an institution in our part of town. He ran that restaurant wonderfully. He was really a terrific business person. Two of his original chefs are still there in the restaurant, and his daughter is carrying on. So if you really want delicious food, go to Crossroads and remember Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson.
And I want to echo those condolences as well. When I told my children what happened, I couldn't answer the question why. Each of them at different ages wondered this, and there just isn't an answer. But I just want to share the sentiment that each and every one of us is 1,000% committed to making sure that Evanston is as safe as it can be, and to do everything in our power to make sure that this is not repeated.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes.
I too would offer my condolences to the Coleman Rice family, but I would also want to say to the community that this is a community problem that all of us are going to have to work together with our police department, with our faith community, and with our neighbors to make sure that we are not only providing the kinds of safe activities for our youth, but that we are really learning how to look after and take care of one another as a community. So I would look forward to those attending in October, the second dialogue on race, but also the other kinds of committees that we have that are trying to address some of these issues. And please attend the Mayor's Committee on October 2nd, because we need to talk about these issues, and we can only do it together.
Thank you. Alderman Tendam.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As well, my condolences to the Coleman Rice family. We live in a very smart, capable community, and I'm sure that if we really put an effort behind this, we can make a lot of grounds on solving these problems that are plaguing our community right now. And I think it's going to require everybody coming out and pitching in, as I know this whole council will. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My condolences as well to the Rice-Coleman family and his school community. This is a child who did everything right, who obeyed curfew, chose responsible friends, made good decisions on Saturday night, and none of that could protect him. And there's something wrong there. I don't know if we'll figure it out. Congratulations to Mary Lou Smith on her retirement from Top of the Tracks. I look forward to the new management at Top of the Tracks. October 3rd, I need to mention, is International Walk to School Day, so please do whatever you can to encourage those in your neighborhoods and on your street to walk to school that day, and let's see if we can reduce congestion around our schools during arrival and dismissal time. And last reminder for a ward meeting on Thursday, October 11th at 7 o'clock at the Evanston Ecology Center. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On behalf of the 8th Ward and my constituents who have begun publicly expressing their condolences to the Rice-Coleman family, no words can express our feelings. On a higher note, Bike the Ridge is September 30th. That is Sunday. Ridge will be closed from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., no cars. The ride will begin at 9, from 9 to 1. It is non-competitive. It's a family event, food trucks, rock band, small farmers market, all sorts of wonderful, free, fun things. If you want to buy food from the food truck, bring cash. There'll be several, including a taco food truck and the Crave hot dog and beef food truck, or food cart, and Hummingbird will be there also. So it'll be a great event. Tonight, a very interesting thing happened. The North and the South got together tonight. The North end of town having difficulties with the whole issue of so-called vacation rentals, as well as the South end of town. And the North end of town met the South end of town and discussed their mutual problems and agreed to work together with pro bono lawyers, etc. And I thought that was just so Evanston, such an Evanston moment that I just loved it. I regret to inform everybody that Paint the Town Purple Thursday night is the very night that the Community Development Block Grant Committee has its most important meeting, where we will be allocating approximately, really an unknown amount, but somewhere in the area of $2 million to the various not-for-profits and city projects. So we will not be able to attend, although our hearts will be with you, and go Cats.
Just wear your hats at the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey. Alderman Burris.
I'd like to add my condolences as well to the Coleman Rice family. It's extremely sad. October 6th, there's the Night Out for Ridgeville Park District, which does a lot for youth in the community, has a lot of programming. So please come out Saturday, October 6th at St. Nicholas Social Hall. It starts at 7 p.m. Tickets are $20. The next 9th Ward meeting is October 17th, and it will be held at the Reba Church.
Thank you. Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, Alderman Rainey, I'd say this is an opportunity for the North and South and the East end of Evanston to come together on these rentals, because a lot of what we were discussing tonight is exactly what you heard from folks regarding the B&B ordinance. The same concerns have been expressed, and I think as the discussion goes on, we'll see that this really is a larger issue that folds into itself. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. I also want to send my condolences to the Coleman Rice family. I just can't tell you how what a pall came over me when I first read the emails that started coming in with the report of the shooting. And it stayed with me for days and days and days. And if I'm feeling this way, as a mother of a son, I know there are many, many people out in our community that are feeling the same way. So to the Coleman Rice family, you're not alone. We feel your pain, and we embrace you. So please, if you ever doubt that, know that every time you go out your door and into the community, you have the support of all of us.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Mayor. I also, on behalf of the residents of the 2nd Ward, wish to express our prayers and support for Dajae Coleman's family. This weekend has been very difficult for many of us, as we know, students at the high school and have students there ourselves. It's difficult to find the words for a situation like this. But I want to offer maybe some suggestions, because I've received a lot of phone calls and emails, and having gone through grief recently, I've come to learn that everyone deals with their grief in these situations differently. And I think if there's anything I would ask the community to do would be, first, patient while we are sorting through the details of a situation like this. There are many of us that are paying very close attention to what's going on, and the police are working very diligently to make sure that we find justice in a situation like this. The other thing I'm going to ask that you do, along with keeping all the students at the high school in prayer, is you're looking for something to do before we create something new. Support some of the existing organizations that are already working to help our kids. And I may miss a few, but the YWCA, the YMCA, YOU, the Youth Job Center, the mayor's efforts with her summer youth program, the Moran Center, and the list goes on. There are people who wake up every day in this town trying to make sure that a situation like this doesn't happen, and we're going to make sure and work very hard that it doesn't happen again. So I ask for you to consider that while we are dealing with this tragedy, and as you're looking for something to do, pay attention to the existing organizations that are working very hard for our youth here in town. The other thing that I want to inform you that the ETHS, thank you to Dr. Weatherspoon and his staff for the wonderful memorial service on Sunday, has set up a memorial fund to help support the family. My understanding is that after the needs of the services have been met, that the family is going to look to create some type of fund just in memory of Dajae Coleman. So anyone who's interested in supporting the family and helping to make sure that the community does not forget this loss, I encourage you to contact Evanston Township High School. Checks are being sent there. I'm sure in the next couple of days, information will be made available to the public. And again, we will stay prayerful, not only for the family, but also for the students at the high school. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. That concludes public comments. Alderman Wilson, do you have a motion?
I do.
Call the wards. Sorry.
Call the wards. A thought occurred to me, and it's a brief one, but it's important to support these organizations. Alderman Braithwaite mentioned a number of them, not just with our financial support, which is of infinite importance, but there's no substitute for personal involvement. And I encourage everyone to look a little deeper and find additional ways to get personally involved with the organizations and with the youth in our community, because, like I said, there's just no substitute for that. And I think that would certainly help advance this. Now, I have a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes 120/2A. I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding personnel, real estate, litigation, ongoing criminal investigation, and minutes. These agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act. These exceptions are 5 ILCS 120/2A, C1, C5, C6, C11, C14, and C21.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are. Limited number of times I can do that.
You were here representing Whole Foods on their liquor license issue.
Thank you.
The people in the back, they're over on that side.
You've got your own.
They're the developers for the Trader Joe's.
Thanks, I would have blown that.
They seemed very unanimal.
Longtime friend and collaborator William M. Hoffman. Together they wrote The Ghosts of Versailles, the opera, and the names were sort of put back in for the singer. I just mentioned a few: Giulio Sorrentino, cellist Freddie, Fortunato Arico, Giulio's teacher Paul, Jacobs, great pianist J.J. Mitchell,